War is a devastating conflict that affects entire countries and impacts generations to come. But what are the long-term effects of war? Hey there, this is Simply Economics. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so our team can produce more videos just for you. War can cause incredible devastation to those who experience it. For decades, war has been used as a tool for achieving political aims, but in its wake, it leaves behind a huge cost to humanity. In this video, let's take a look at some of these repercussions that linger long after the fighting has stopped. In times of war, the notion of true victory becomes elusive, as all parties involved endure the harsh consequences, often accompanied by high numbers of casualties on both sides. Instead of focusing on the aftermath and repercussions, we shall delve into the immediate impact of war on individuals, politics, the economy, and the environment. Individuals affected by armed conflicts. World War I, which took place from 1914 to 1918, resulted in a staggering loss of 17 to 20 million lives. The devastating impact of World War II, spanning from 1939 to 1945, is estimated to have claimed the lives of approximately 50 to 56 million individuals, and some sources even suggest 80 million. While the conclusion of World War II marked the end of such widespread carnage, with no subsequent conflict reaching such catastrophic levels of destruction, it is disheartening to note that violent conflicts between 1989 and 2010, following the end of the Cold War, resulted in the tragic death toll of around 800,000 people. Estimating the true number of war victims is complex. The narrow definition of victims only includes those who died directly from armed violence, overlooking lives lost to exposure, epidemics, sexual violence, and hunger. It also fails to account for casualties years later, like the radiation victims of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Acknowledging these overlooked casualties is crucial to understanding the full extent of war's devastation. Fuel and food shortages. Global fuel and food shortages, worsened by the war, are exacerbating post-pandemic inflation already at multi-decade highs worldwide. The causes, although not fully understood, can be attributed to the slow unwinding of macroeconomic stimulus by governments and central banks. Excessive and delayed fiscal stimulus in the United States contributed to the problem. Supply chain disruptions and increased demand have contributed to inflation, with advanced economies experiencing inflation rates of over 5% even before the conflict. The war has worsened an already challenging situation, particularly with disruptions to global wheat exports and supplies of fossil fuels from Russia. These disruptions are driving up prices. Increasing interest rates. Central banks' plans to raise interest rates and reduce their balance sheet remain uncertain. The Federal Reserve has already implemented a 0.25% rate hike and predicts further increases. Despite this, markets are confident in the impact of these actions and expect a smooth landing for the economy. Inflation expectations remain stable, but there are concerns about an inverted Treasury yield curve. Prolonged high inflation poses underestimated risks, potentially leading to destabilization. Central bank credibility is strong, but there's concern it may erode with persistent inflation. Balancing this risk against causing a major recession is crucial. High levels of public and private debt add further challenges, as sudden monetary tightening could disrupt debt dynamics. Risks associated with deglobalization. The risks of deglobalization have risen following the Ukraine invasion and the pandemic. The need for resilient supply chains and reduced reliance on imports, especially for healthcare supplies and semiconductors, has been highlighted. Supply disruptions and potential decline in trade between advanced economies and China could impact globalization and geopolitical stability. Trade has historically been associated with lower conflict likelihood. Deglobalization could have a significant negative impact on the world economy in the near term. However, the long-term effects are less clear. Existing trade literature suggests relatively small estimates, with about 2 to 3% lower GDP for the United States and 3 to 4% for China. The effects of financial globalization are also expected to be modest. Impact to the environment. Kofi Annan, the former UN Secretary General, aimed to bring attention to the detrimental ecological and long-term environmental consequences of wars. These consequences, such as pollution from oil, chemicals, landmines, and unexploded ordnance, can take a significant amount of time to repair. The pollution of water, air, and soil not only jeopardizes livelihoods, but also leads to mass displacement of populations. New technologies like depleted uranium munitions pose a threat to the environment, causing cancer and organ damage due to small amounts of radioactive uranium. The environmental impact of war extends beyond immediate effects, with the destruction of natural resources, chemical warfare agents, and deliberate destruction of crops and pastures. The environment becomes an innocent victim, disproportionately affecting the poor who depend on it for sustenance, medicine, livelihoods, and shelter materials. Kofi Annan warned of the environmental effects of war. Wars will never be over. War, as described by Nobel Prize-winning author Heinrich Böll, inflicts lasting wounds on both physical and psychological levels. Soldiers and civilians endure injuries that can persist for years, while the psychological impact manifests as fear and insecurity. War also leads to the displacement of citizens, creating a global refugee crisis with millions facing hunger and limited support. A comprehensive solution is crucial to address the legal, economic, and social challenges faced by refugees. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our future content. We truly appreciate your support. See you in the next one.